What's up guys, Jeff from Sorta Healthy here. And today we'll be trying something a little bit different. Today we'll be reacting to a video which is something I haven't done on this channel in a very long time. There are some other trainers out there putting out content and I want to share my thoughts on some of that content. That being said, I want these reactionary videos to only be a once in a while thing. I've got some big projects coming up that are more in line with what we typically discuss here at Sorta Healthy. So stay tuned for that. To kick off this new type of video on the channel, I feel like we can't start off with anyone other than the guys over at Mind Pump. They've probably talked more about being a personal trainer and what you should or shouldn't do as a trainer compared to just about anyone else. Also, I'm a big fan of their podcast in general, so yeah, it just feels right to kick things off with them. The name of the Mind Pump video that we'll be watching is Pros and Cons of Being a Personal Trainer. Make sure you guys go check out that video and support it. I'll leave a link to it down below in the description. Also, make sure to go check out their podcast. It's a good way to stay up to date on fitness and personal training information, and like I said, I'm a fan, so you know it has to be good. And hey, while you're doing that, if you wouldn't mind liking this video and subscribing as well, that's always very appreciated. Anyways, I've seen part of this video already, but that was over a year ago. So let's listen in to Sal, Adam, and Justin and hear their thoughts on the pros and cons of being a personal trainer, and then I'll give my thoughts on what they're saying.
What are the positives and negatives of being a trainer? Do you have any advice that you wish you knew when you first started?
Hard to get rich.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not if you're
not a money grab.
If you're super driven by money and you just want to make a lot of money,
which I was.
Yeah, get into finance or investments. Work with money. That's how you're gonna make
either that or
right.
my defense, because I am this person. I was driven first by money before I was the passion to become a personal trainer. But because I was so driven by money and I fell in love with personal training,
you figured out a way.
Exactly. It forced me to get better and better at my craft, because just being good, being a good trainer, you're not going to get rich at all, and even being great, probably you're not. So it really forced me to continue to reinvent myself, to grow, to learn, to push, to be at a whole other level, to get to that small percent that make it to that kind of revenue. So yeah, that would be a negative, right? A negative would be it's
potentially, right? If you're trying to be a trainer,
struggle in the beginning.
If you're trying to be a trainer and you're not passion driven by fitness, you're gonna have a tough time, because that's what takes you through everything.
This is 100% true, and I have said it in videos before. Don't do personal training for the money. I can relate to Adam a lot on this one, because to some extent, I always was driven by money. There was a period of time in college where I was working like 3 different jobs on different days in order to pay my rent on a junky apartment that I shared with a roommate. I think I was pretty money driven, especially back then, because I didn't want to live like that for a long period of time. In the beginning, I wasn't sure that I would like training, but I figured I would give it a shot because I was getting a degree in exercise science and the hourly pay was slightly higher than what I was currently doing. Unfortunately, I didn't really end up making good money as a trainer until many years later. That being said, yes, they're 100% right here. Do not get into training for the money.
It's exhausting. Yeah. It's a very exhausting job. Now you might think, well, why? You're not doing construction.
You carry the emotions of other people.
Not just that. That's a big part of it. But the other part of it is, let's say you work an 8-hour shift.
Yeah, you got to split. You got to split.
Yeah.
Very few trainers work a 9 to 5.
Yeah. Not only that, but let me take it a step further. Let's say you work an 8-hour shift at an office. There's a lot of time in that 8 hours where you could take a break. You don't need to talk to anybody. You can relax. You could go on the internet, talk to your friend. If you're training 8 clients in a day, first off, like what Adam said, never are they back to back. If you're training 8 clients in a day, you're there for 12 hours because there's always gaps. But number 2, you're on all 8 hours. There's no break. Yeah. Client shows up, I'm working. There is no break in between, and that can be really, really exhausting.
You determine the energy. Yeah. And I think that's what you're getting. It is like a suck in a sense where like you got to really like amp yourself up so you can portray the best version of yourself constantly.
Sal is definitely right here. It is exhausting. You do need to be 100% on when you're dealing with clients. Also, sometimes sessions will be back to back, but oftentimes they're not. I'm not sure I fully agree with what Justin was saying there at the end though. Let's go back and listen to that a bit more.
You determine the energy. Yeah. And I think that's what you're getting. It is like a suck in a sense where like you got to really like amp yourself up so you can portray the best version of yourself constantly.
I mostly agree with that. You want to be the best version of yourself. That being said, my energy is pretty different person to person. In my experience, most clients do best when you're very encouraging, but you're also doing your best to match their energy level. If I have a chatty client, I'm a bit chattier with that person than I am with someone who's quiet. Of course, like we said before, try to be positive in both cases.
Right away when I meet like another trainer, I ask them like how long you've been doing it, and if they've been doing it for beyond 5 years, I know they're probably pretty good at what they do, because it's really tough if you're not a good trainer to have made it past 5 years, because the things that we're talking about, even if you're really good, you're going to struggle with this. Your schedule is going to be tough. You're going to go through clients you don't like training. You're not going to make a lot of money. And so if you've persevered through that, you're probably a pretty damn good trainer if you've made 5 years or longer.
100%, couldn't agree more.
It definitely got to a point where towards the back half, for sure, of my 20 years is I definitely got really picky with who I trained.
I'm skipping around a little bit in this next part. They're mostly talking about how you can start to be picky about who you choose to work with clientele-wise as you book up as a trainer. If you work alone, that's true. I started hiring other trainers to work for me and passed off clients to those other trainers instead of only working with a specific demographic or group. So basically, I sign on and interact with many clients who aren't necessarily my ideal client. Doing that has helped other trainers in my business to book up more. So of course, my business model is a little bit different compared to what the Mind Pump guys are describing. Skipping ahead just a little bit now.
When you're training people and you're doing a good job and they lose weight, get better shape, they feel no more pain, their health improves, you see it directly, and so you have this incredible sense of meaning.
The reward is right in front of you.
Totally.
I think that's initially what people get into, I think, personal training. If they're really passionate about it, they want to impact other people's lives, and you can do that on a one-to-one basis, and it's literally right in front of you. And I totally agree. I had some of the best conversations I've ever had is with some of my, main clients that I see on a regular basis. And I just can't, you're not going to get that from a regular job, because you're not going to be able to go that deep with somebody else, because, you're on this, it's like you're on this journey together. You become like, it's a deep bond that you share.
That's definitely all true, which kind of makes it sting a little bit when you're training someone and everything is going really well, and then all of a sudden it isn't going well anymore. Usually that happens for no apparent reason, by the way. Maybe the client has been slacking on dietary things outside of the fitness facility. Maybe all of a sudden, out of the blue, a once thoughtful and respectful client just starts canceling their sessions last minute. It's tough to not feel a little bit saddened by those things because of the nature of what we do.
The first time that you do something where you like fundamentally change somebody's life, like somebody came to you, they're 45 years old, they've struggled with weight loss forever, they're obese, they've tried this diet, they've done this, and you unlock something for that person that like fundamentally changes them forever. Oh my, it gets me emotional just talking about it, because it reminds me of all those feelings that I've had when I've had a client like this.
Essentially, helping people improve their lives is something you need to care about for this career to be worth it. Sal has a good story about that here.
I had an older client who came in on her day off to tell me she was so excited. She was 80 years old. She had lost her independence. Her daughter came in and hired me to train her. And after about 7 or 8 months of training, this woman regained her independence, and she came into my gym on her off day to tell me that she was able to go grocery shopping for the first time in 2 years by herself. She was able to close the trunk of her car all by herself, and she made the trip to come into my gym, walked in, gave me a hug, and said, I'm independent again because of the training that you've given me. And that right there it's worth more than money to me. It was worth way more than money. It's what kept me a personal trainer for a long time. Believe me, I had clients offer me jobs and wanted to pay me more, and I was like, I need to feel like I have some meaning behind what I do.
Not to end this on a negative note.
Honestly, that's a pretty touching story, and yeah, if you're not into stuff like that, I'd consider doing something other than training. I heard Adam say something about a negative note though. That sounds juicy. Let's see what he has to say.
If you really understand your purpose of helping and serving people, and you've fallen in love with personal training, and you claim that you love it so much, and that is your purpose and what you're doing, and you're listening, you're nodding your head, and you're like, yes, that's the feeling's amazing, and you're a trainer. But then you're also scared to direct your people towards information that it could be provided in a better way through them than yourself, in fear of losing financial gain It's such a scarcity mindset and will put a ceiling on your cap of how great you become.
I'm gonna let Adam finish up, but yeah, he's 100% right here. I think a lot of new trainers specifically are sometimes scared to say and do certain things around clients, even if it's in that client's best interest, because they're scared of losing the client. I know I felt like this a little bit when I started out. That being said, I've never lost a client by referring them out to someone else, like a physical therapist, a massage therapist, or anybody else. In fact, it's pretty much done the opposite. Referring clients out to those other health professionals has caused them to refer people to me.
She'll always remember that it was me who sent her over there to help her. I get just as much credit for that, and it may not directly affect my pocket right then and there, but I always end up getting 3, 5, 10 other people reaching out to me because of that.
And you know what's funny? I've never lost a client because of that.
Right.
It's never happened to me.
No.
If anything, they come to me more because I guided them in the right direction. As far as advice that I'd have for myself when I first started, I wish Mind Pump existed. I wish, because my personal training knowledge came from certifications, bodybuilding magazines, my own research and my own experience. If Mind Pump had existed back then, I would have shaved. I mean, you can't ever replace experience, but I would have shaved a good, 5 years off the amount of time it took me to go from sucky trainer to not bad trainer, you know?
So yeah, I agree with that last point to some extent. I also wish that Mind Pump or something like it existed as I was coming up. That being said, a lack of good resources and learning opportunities for personal trainers has helped to give Mind Pump a voice and things to talk about, and it's done the same for me as well. More so me, because I focus on trainer education more than they do, but you get the idea. We have lots of good topics to talk about when it comes to trainer education and trainer lifestyle, because no one's done a good job covering it yet. I'm not sure how literally he meant that last thing he said, but he basically said if he had access to Mind Pump, he could have shaved a significant amount of time off of transitioning from a sucky trainer to a not so sucky trainer. In fairness, right before that, he did say you can't replace experience. I think people like the Mind Pump guys and myself can help you avoid some mistakes, and we can help you go from bad trainer to good trainer faster. But I also think it still takes a good few years of hands-on experience to become truly good at this job. I also think the Mind Pump guys would agree with that, but it might have not been so obvious there. Anyways, make sure you guys go watch and like that video. I skipped over a few parts, so watch their version as well to get the full story. The Mind Pump video we watched today was an easy one to react to because I usually agree with pretty much everything they have to say. That being said, that won't be the case with many future videos. Anyways, that's all we have for today. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, because it really does help the channel to grow, and that does allow me to create more free content for all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay sorta healthy.